Keep things moving here. The June 6, 2023 meeting of the West Haven ARPA Committee will now come to order. Will each member, paid professional, and city official state their name for the record? Ken Carney.
David Grudberg, Carmody Torrance.
Dwight Knowles.
Mike Last.
Ken Ferris.
Gary.
State your name for the meeting.
Gary Perdo.
Rohan Smith.
Okay, each member has received a copy of the agenda for tonight's meeting. Do we accept the agenda?
Motion to accept.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The chair will now ask the clerk to just paraphrase the minutes. You don't have to go through every motion, just kind of give us a quick synopsis. And the minutes, I think, start on page 5. Five through 10 of the minutes.
Members in attendance: Ken Carney, Dwight Knowles, Iris, Ken Ferris, Chris was absent, Rohan Smith, and Gary. Others in attendance: David.
I object.
Yes.
I wasn't absent at the last meeting.
No, I didn't say absent.
Oh,
Here. I said here.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Okay.
Why are you picking on him, Dwight?
I don't know.
I know already.
Get it started, that's it. Others in attendance: Michael Esposito, Colleen Bailey, John Galvin, Ernest Chiarelli. Approval of agenda: Rohan Smith and Iris. Approved unanimously. Chairman's report. The chair's report for tonight's meeting includes the introduction of Ernie, the sidewalk inspector, who will assist with reviewing the invoices up for approval. Additionally, representatives from the fire department are present to discuss their objectives with the ARPA funding provided. Over the past 4 weeks, significant progress has been made in various projects, and we have had productive meetings, with several architects. More detailed information regarding these projects will be discussed later in the meeting. It is worth noting that the city's efficiency in issuing purchase orders, finalizing contracts, has significantly improved. What used to take several months can now be completed in less than 2 weeks. As an example, I recently requested a purchase order from Gazella via email and received it the same day, an impressive level. Okay. Going on to financial, Carmody invoice 540040.
You have to go through those.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All approved?
All invoices were approved, right?
Right. I'd like to inform you that I managed to negotiate. Yep. All right.
You guys had a chance to look at the minutes. Anybody have any changes to the minutes?
No change.
Do you have a motion to accept the minutes as written?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The minutes are approved.
Ken, I just want to be, I'm going to abstain because I was
Not at the meeting, the last meeting.
Let the record show that Mr. Last has abstained from the minutes. Okay, Chairman's report, general update. Several things have happened since last month's meeting. I will go through them in detail as we go through the individual projects. I will tell you that we got a visit from the accountants representing MARB. They came to my office for about 2.5 hours. I had Dave Grudberg there. I had an ARPA UHY representative, and they went through the process that we use to make sure that everything is done properly and meets all the various requirements. And very quickly, that process is all the invoices come into the ARPA committee. On the journey of the invoice coming to the ARPA committee, several people working for the ARPA committee can reject an invoice for work not being done. When it finally makes the folder, I send the invoices to UHY, and I put them in the agenda that you're looking at tonight, into the booklet. UHY tells me if there's any issues with invoices. If there are, we sit on them. If there isn't an issue and the committee approves the invoice, I then put them in a letter format to the finance director, and I say, we recommend you pay these invoices based on the committee's approval. And then with that, the finance department pays the invoices. So that's kind of the process. Now, while all that's going on, every invoice that we approve, we are individually signing if we have a conflict or not with the invoice. We are also maintaining checklists for invoices and vendors, making sure that the unique identity number is there, that the insurance is there, that the W-9 is there. And we're also checking the contracts and making sure that the work is being performed to the contract or the PO. We also have a similar system in place for bidding jobs. And when the bids come in, if it's over $50,000, finance sits on that bid until MARB approves it, and then it gets handed to us, and we administer the job with the help of the chosen architect. And I don't see how that was a problem, any of that was a problem. It looked like they accepted that as a good process. So we'll see, but that's what I shared with them at that 2.5-hour meeting. Okay. I also tell you that some of our larger jobs are starting to finally happen. So we're going to be spending a lot of money here in a short period of time with much larger invoices based on what I'm seeing now. And I also tell you that it has been a bit of a struggle on some of these projects to get these architects to do what they're supposed to do. They're super busy. They put jobs in the back burner. The person who screams the most, I think, gets the most attention. So we're calling them, we're saying, hey, you gotta get this moving, you have a contract, and we're getting some mixed results, but it's busy out there, and there's very limited design professionals to do all this work. Every town and city is doing the same thing we are. And we're certainly seeing that on the response time. So I'll talk more about that as I go through. Are there any questions on the general report? Okay, on page 11 is your project sheet, but I blew it up for you, so you can go off of this sheet. And if you reference this larger sheet, you can then go to the book to see more detail. And I'll start with the CARES Act Financial Management, project number 2022-001, and that would be on page 12. And this is an invoice from Carmody for $25,000 for services through May. March, I'm sorry, which includes a courtesy discount of almost $4,000. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, I've got Jow Films. Yep. And that is on page 20. Yeah, of course. For $250, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Next, we go to the Child Development Center roof, project number 2022-002. And if you go to page 21, you will see the bid tally for the roof. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, we had 7 bidders. Now, if you look at our project sheet, we have budgeted $360,000, and the low bid is $469. And that bid, we believe, is deficient because it did not include an amendment change. So the bid may be $499, and that puts us basically $139,000 short for the roof. With that, I'll go back to the city council after MARB approves it, and I'll ask to dip into the $564,000 contingency to pay for the roof. Now, I believe that some of these jobs are gonna collapse under their own weight. There are 30-something jobs. The budgets for these jobs were created by City Hall officials 2.5 years ago, okay? And we're seeing projects coming in across the state, not just ARPA projects, 35% over budget. So what's gonna happen is, some of these jobs are gonna collapse, and the remaining funds from those jobs will then be cannibalized to the contingency and then to fund these other jobs, okay? And this is a good example of this starting to happen. So, we're doing a scope review, I think tomorrow, I have to look at my calendar, with 2 companies here in City Hall and the architect, and we will come up with, it might be Thursday, and we'll come up with a recommendation for an award. It'll go to MARB, and then we will award the job. Any questions on that?
Does that have to go back to the city council for additional funding?
It would be before we sign the contract, yes.
Okay.
And I'm
And-
going to see them on the 12th.
Okay. And should we be building in contingencies? Because once they take the old roof off, God knows what we're gonna find.
Well, I mean, I think what happens is, we have a contingency that services that. We just gotta keep going back to the city council. I mean, I could ask for a few more dollars.
What would be normal, like something like that, 10%?
I'll talk to the architect to find out.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions on that? Okay, if you go to page 22 through 42, you'll see the ARPA projects for parks. That's project number 2022-003. Now, I have a lot of information on these invoices. However, Ernie's the guy that administers this, and he could not make it tonight. So I'm gonna do my best to go through this. If there's a question that I can't answer, we'll table it to next month. Starting off with the Veteran Memorial Park concrete boards. These are, I gotta take this call, guys. I'm gonna pause the meeting. You wanna take it, Mike?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm not sure we can go through these,
Okay, I'll go back in a second.
Okay.
Hey, Paul. Okay, so this particular invoice is on page 43 through 48. This is invoice 69583. They do have a PO because they met all the requirements, and this is the beanbag game made out of concrete. We already approved one of these. There were 2 locations that got it. Veteran Memorial Field, we did not approve. I'm asking for a motion to approve $1,382 for Dottie & Sons Concrete Products, Inc.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we got the Dog Park Grit. This is Soundview Landscaping. This can be on page 49. And what this is a dog park with, that was dug out, stone dust put down, and that's a place for the dogs to visit versus killing the grass. There's pictures of what it looks like that I saw. There's a PO, and you can actually see the pictures in here. Page 54, you can see one of the pictures. Job's done, inspected. I'd like a motion to accept invoice number 162422 for Soundview Landscaping for $24.57.
Motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, page 55. This is Wizard Painting, Veterans Park Parking Lot Line Striping. $975, and they just simply relined the parking lot. And you can see on page 59, the picture of that parking lot. Do I have a motion to approve Wizard Painting invoice 03439 for $975?
00.
Okay, that's Rohan.
Right.
Second is Dwight. Any discussion?
Okay, no problem.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, I've got a sign at the Little League Complex, page 61. And this is for $1375 from a company called Signlight, invoice number 15694. Do I have a motion to approve?
So
Motion.
moved.
Mike?
We'll take Mike, followed by Dwight. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we're back to the dog park. This is Ivy League Landscaping, and this is on page 70. So this is the excavation that took place and the grading for the dog park that was done by Soundview Landscaping. And that's for $1,600, invoice number 105-106. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we're gonna go to page 76. And this is a $675 invoice from Classic Drywall and Remodeling to basically paint a shed owned by the city. Okay? And that shed picture's on page 80. The door is painted. Hold on,
$5 to paint the door?
hold on 1 second. No, it's a new shed door, my apologies. It's a new shed door and painted. Yep, so they put a new door in. If you read the invoice on page 77, and the PO supports it, remove existing door to shed on Platt Ave, install a new door including lock set. The new door will be cut to fit size and operate properly, approximately 3 feet wide by 6 feet high. So when I saw this originally, I thought it was just painting, and then I read it a little closer, and it's actually a new door. You can't install a door anywhere in America for $675, especially when he has to cut it down. So that's definitely a fair price. Do you have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Do you have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next, we go to page 82. This is Frank's and Fence. This is a considerable amount of fencing at the Veterans Memorial Nike site. And this guy is on the state contract. It totals $6,627. Do you have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Go to page 89. This is Frank's and Fence again. This job actually went out to bid. It was over $10,000. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is on the state bid list. Did not go out to bid. It went off the state bid list. This is a guardrail that was installed. You guys actually approved this project in a previous packet. The job is done. If you go to page 93, you will see the guardrail through 94 and 95 and 96. Do I have a motion to approve invoice number 12941, Frank's and Fence, for $12,775?
Motion to approve?
Okay, do you have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, I've got drainage burn extension. This is for $1,855. And this is a burn that was extended in Contact Park. We have 6 houses over there getting flooded every time they have significant rain. And what happens is the park fills up with water and it goes down a small embankment and wipes out these houses. The city, several years ago, put a burn in that covered 4 houses. They didn't finish it. This job finishes it. And then after it was done, a couple weeks ago, we had 3 inches of rain over the weekend. No one got flooded, so it seems to have worked. So that's for $1,855. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second. Okay.
That's Ivy League. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we've got Soundview then provided plants in the form of arborvitae to go on the berm for $1,650, and that's on page 103. So Ernie does a nice job documenting this, taking pictures. None of this would happen without him. So we're very happy the way he handles this. Motion is for $1,650 for invoice 161704. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Okay, we'll go with Rohan, followed by Dwight. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Next, page 108. So this is the actual installation of the mulch and the trees. The previous invoice was to purchase the material. This is the actual labor to install it, $1,260. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, I've got Shingle Hill Message Center, page 113. There's a picture of this on page 115. Okay. So this is classic drywall and remodeling, $785. He constructed this message center. Do you have a motion to approve?
It wasn't approved already?
Well, this is the invoice. The project may have been approved. This is the invoice.
Okay.
Oh, did we approve this one? No, we didn't approve this one yet.
The project was approved, invoice was not.
Right.
Okay.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, on page 116, we have Veterans Park Storage Shed. labor to build a storage shed approximately 4 feet by 4 feet by 5 feet on site, including floor, roof, and door. Shed will sit on concrete piers to prevent deterioration. Simple shed, they need it for some storage, $1,200. Do you have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, I'm gonna ask you to go to page 120. This is an estimate for narrow park sign landscape bed by Ivy League for $13.85. And what they're looking to do here is install soil and compost around sign for new plantings. A mix of flowering perennials and upright evergreens will be installed in front and on each side of the sign. Landscape fabric will be installed over the soil, and river rock will be installed instead of mulch. $1,385. Do I have a motion to approve this project?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Where exactly is this, guys?
This is on, let's see, hold on.
Oh, Platt Avenue, never mind.
Right on Platt, yep.
Platt Avenue.
Yep, that's Platt.
Thank you.
We do not have an approval form for that because it's not an invoice.
Right, correct. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So is this an estimate?
It's an estimate, but when we approve it, we won't pay more than that.
The next thing is food bank.
Okay. All right, next, we've got Food Bank, project number 2022-004. I'm going to hand it over to David to talk about that. Go ahead, Dave.
Sure. As the agenda indicates, the BOE funds have been distributed. I know the issue of monies getting out on the food front has been a point of concern. Just wanted to state for the record, the intended recipients all received draft agreement, or received contracts in the last week of April. We have been waiting to hear back. Just last week, we got back a signed agreement from Vertical Church, Living Word, so I think that one's in good shape. We, the Council for Savin Rock Communities has recently been in touch with me and UHY. We're making progress, and we made available to all the recipients any technical support, both from us or UHY, in finalizing the contract. Savin Rock, I think, is very close to being finalized, and then finally I was in touch with Council for Fish, which is now part of a bigger organization called New Reach. They are, their council is meeting with the client tomorrow, and hopefully they will have final comments on that contract as well. So, knock wood, hopefully we are very close to finalizing all of those contracts.
Thank you, David. Any questions for David on the food banks? Let's move on to the Johnson Senior Roof, Senior Center. So I met there today with Cone Elevator and the architect. We're gonna put the elevator replacement out to bid separately, and we're gonna ask elevator companies to bid it directly, so we're not paying a two-stepper or a contractor. The rest of the project, we believe will go out in early July, based on what the architect told me today. And I believe the elevator will be ready for bid at the end of June. Any questions on that project? Next, we've got your stormwater management. I do have an invoice here from C.D. Smith for $50,000. These guys are going around and studying the entire city. I got a partial report, I should have brought tonight, actually, and it says things in it like, this storm drain hasn't been cleaned in 10 years, there's a pipe over here that's buried. It's pretty comprehensive. And I'm taking that and I'm sharing it with the guys who are doing the stormwater work. You'll see some of that work tonight in your packet. And we're using that as a roadmap going forward. Okay, that's a $500,000 study, and we're about halfway through it. So I need a motion to approve invoice 901-79016 for CDM Smith for $50,000.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just one thing on that, is this something that's gonna be shared with Public Works and water, so they can, some of the items they might be finding may not need to be done by a contractor, it might be able to be done by the city
Well,
staff, or no?
no, you're correct. I think what happens is, more than sharing it, I think we dedicate a whole meeting to this firm when they're done. We have them make a big presentation, we invite the council, we invite Public Works, we invite everybody, and find out exactly what they found, and then we start using our ARPA funds to implement it.
Yeah, because I think storm drains and stuff it'd probably be a shame to spend ARPA money on that when we can maybe have the current staff do those smaller jobs.
Well, the current staff is doing it, and ARPA's paying for it. We bought the machine, we're paying them to do it. I mean, that's what the money's there for. We have a bucket of money for that. And that's our next project. Our next project is 2022-10, stormwater management.
I think we have to vote on that too, Ken.
Oh, I'm sorry. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next we've got stormwater management. If you go to page 124. You will see a report from Burwell and Robart Street. And this is ARPA funded. If you go to page 125, you'll see the man-hours that were put in at the rate that the city pays, all in. And then you'll see some pictures. And the first picture on 126 shows you what we found when we showed up, and 127 shows you what we did in 16, 20 hours. This is happening all over the city. And I will talk about that for a moment, and with the understanding, I'm not an engineer, I'm not an expert in drainage or anything like that. But at the end of the day, if people are experiencing flooding in the last 10 or 15 years, and you look around their neighborhood, and there's no new houses, there's no additional driveways, there's no new buildings, that speaks to me that the existing system that was carrying the flood away from those homes has been neglected. And instead what I hear is, oh, it rains more now than it used to 15 years ago. I ain't buying that. I hear things like, you know, it's raining more, so we have to do a study and create a whole new system. You don't have to create a new system. The system is in place, and this picture represents that. We're finding more and more buried pipes and culverts that have been forgotten about, that we're uncovering, and all of a sudden, the flooding goes away. So that's what I'm telling you guys. They're uncovering this stuff, they're putting rocks around it to protect it, they're going into the pipe, they're cleaning it out, they're using the vac truck that we bought, they're using the small excavator that we purchased. It's working out pretty good. So, I'd like so these aren't really invoices, these are transfer amounts to City of West Haven. I'd like a motion to transfer $765 to the City of West Haven to cover the expense of Burwell and Robart Street. Do I have a motion to do the transfer?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion?
Just one thing on this, again, maybe, I'm hoping that when we find these areas, that they're documented and maybe inventoried.
There it is.
But, I mean, certainly moving forward, if there was a list of all these
It's in
different
that CDM report.
culverts
Yeah.
that the city can have and in the future maybe do a better job of maintaining.
It's in the report.
Great.
Yeah. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Go to your next report, page 128. This is Fresh Meadow culvert. Go to the picture on 129. That's what we found when we showed up. Go to the picture on 130. That's what we found after we cleaned the culvert. Now, there's 10 more pictures. I just picked the best two because I can't keep copying all this stuff. But this is what happens. Stuff's clogged. This is a 24-hour job to clean this mess up. And that backyard won't flood anymore. $918 of ARPA funds. I'd like a motion to reimburse the city $918 for this project.
So
Motion.
moved.
Dwight, second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, moving on. Project number 2022-11. So the Recycling and Reuse Center, I have not gotten my arms around. I will be speaking to this designer next week, and I'll have a better report for you at the next meeting. 2022-013 is the broadband access for the library. No new invoices this month. 2022-014, City Hall windows. We had the mandatory walkthrough today. 6 companies showed up to replace the windows. Okay? So that is in the process. We're now in the RFI period, followed by the bid. The bids will come in. All the windows are gonna be vinyl, with the exception of these 2 in this room, because they're oversized. They have to be a metal window. But everything else will be a tilt-in vinyl, high-energy, high-efficiency window. And we had the hygienist here today, talking about how we're gonna do it. They're gonna install the windows from the outside. So the process is, they're gonna put plastic, 2 layers of plastic on the inside, take the window out from the outside, pop the new window in from the outside, trim it, and move on to the next window. They're putting in pans to make sure there's no water coming into the building. They're flashing everything with the proper tape. Beautiful spec. Hoffman did a great job speccing this out. I think it's gonna be a great project. And you will see a 20% savings on energy costs for this building, not to mention the level of comfort that employees will have being able to open the windows without getting killed, and being able to close the window in the winter and save energy. Any questions on that project?
How does the budget look on that? Do you think we can,
So, you know, one of the bidders asked me what the budget was. I told them it was 5% less than the lowest responsible bidder. I'm not giving out the budget. We'll see what happens.
do you think we'll have enough to?
No, probably not. But
Okay.
we'll, you know, go back to contingency. 2 years ago, we would have had enough. Next, I've got projects 2022-015, 016, 017, 018. I'll speak 15 through 17 are the fire districts. They're in different levels of signing the subrecipient agreement, I believe. And I know West Shore has already started the process of doing design work, and we've seen some invoices. 2022-018, boardwalk monitoring cameras. So I've had this bid for a couple weeks. The problem is, it was written in a manner that doesn't lend itself to go out to bid very well. I'm rewriting it. I'm not rewriting the spec, I'm rewriting the format. I'm putting in the proper emails, I'm putting in the proper requirements from ARPA, and I promised the chief it'd be in purchasing hands this week, and we'll make it happen. Okay? I do have an invoice from the consultant who provided those bids and design for $19,600. That's Chase Consulting. I'd like a motion to pay that invoice.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, Painter Park Fieldhouse. That is project number 2022-021. Spoke to those guys today. They are working on the design of that field house, and they're probably about 30% done. Project 2023-001, EMS premium pay, that's strictly on Marb's shoulders. Should that not go through, that'll release $1 million back into the contingency. Next, I've got 2023-004, camera and sound for meeting rooms. Spoke to those guys, they signed their contract, they did their submittals for ARPA requirements. They're looking at a July 1 schedule to actually start work. So they've been through the bidding process, they were the low responsive bidder, if you will. And they think they'll start around the first week of July with 3 conference rooms. So we'll be getting invoices once that happens. Next, I've got project number 2023-006, Housing Crisis Grant Fund. That contract has been signed, we're just waiting for invoices as those services are completed. Next, I got 2023-007, the Haley School ADA ramp rebuild. I met Stantec out there, and he is going to give us a proposal to design a new ramp, do the specifications, and then help run the project. And I have not seen that yet, but I expect it any day. Next, I got 2023-008. This is the West Haven Turf Field and Track. We have settled on field turf, roughly $2.5 million. We did negotiate a $115,000 reduction without losing anything. They are in contract stage right now with our ARPA attorneys. We should probably have to ask Mark to give us an update on that tomorrow. Moving on to Savin Rock Playscape and Groundscape. That is project number 2023-009. The slide has been ordered, and that company, Childscapes, which is providing the slide, has met all their ARPA requirements. Hinding Tennis, who's doing the Playscape, Groundscape, I should say, finally delivered today most of their requirements, but not their unique identity number. So we're still waiting on that. The Noble Community Center rooftop units, project number 2023-010. That design is complete, and that is ready to go out to bid. There were two small changes the architect wanted, and that was made today, actually. 2023-011, electrical main breakers. I've heard nothing on that. I think I'm gonna have to probably do that myself. I was hoping City Hall would put that out to bid. I don't think it's gonna happen. 2023-012, Kerrigan boilers and repiping the entire school. Spoke to those designers. The plan right now is they are putting together a spec for the city, or the Board of Ed, I should say, through ARPA, to purchase the boilers direct from the manufacturer. And we feel that'll save a few months, because if we put this out to bid in July, by the time you go through the bidding process, you identify the lowest responsible bidder, you got like 5 weeks of contracts to do, 4 to 5 weeks. Then, and only then, would the vendor order these boilers. So we're gonna order them ourselves directly from the manufacturer based on either cooperative purchasing, a buying group, or a bid. We will have those ready, so when the vendor is chosen to install the boilers, we'll already have the boilers. The vendor will, the lowest responsible vendor will then install new heating pipe throughout the school and install these boilers. And my understanding is we're going with 4 boilers instead of 2, because we're gonna create a second boiler room, which will eliminate the run of a lot of pipe, okay? I also asked that the architect engineer, I should say the engineer, design a fix for the existing second boiler at Kerrigan right now. So Kerrigan has 2 boilers, one is operating, one is not. I'm gonna propose that we spend some funds to fix the second boiler, because if we don't achieve all this by October 15th and we lose the one boiler that's working, we need a boiler backup to heat the school. So we're gonna actually probably spend about $10,000–15,000 to get that boiler up and running. And that's where we're at. Any questions on the Kerrigan boiler repiping project?
On that work, can they do that work? Would that be work they're gonna have to do during the summer with the piping?
Well, ideally, you'd want it done during the summer, but with all the competition, probably not. They may start it, but I think what happens is they come in from a 3 to 11 shift.
Oh, okay, so
And
after
they-
school?
Yeah. We don't want the 5th graders helping us with the pipe.
No.
Any questions on that guy? All right, emergency bleacher repair at Veterans Field, I guess wasn't such an emergency because no one's put it out to bid, but 2023-013, I'm gonna have to put out the bid myself. I'll get back to you on that. Community mental health needs, we do have an application in your packet. This is one page, starts on page 133. So this is the application that other cities and towns have used. It's been vetted by UHY. And the idea is that we give money to vendors who are already providing mental health here in West Haven. And they would actually give us a plan, and then this committee would decide, similar to the food banks, which organization gets what. Okay? So what you may want to do is look this over and send me an email and tell me you're okay with it. It may be too lengthy to read tonight, unless you want to try and vote on it tonight, it's up to you. I don't know if you read it or not. But I do need this approved at some point. Next, moving on, 2023-015, aid to small business. That application is out. And by our next meeting, we will have applications to spend that $800,000 by reimbursing landlords for businesses they bring into West Haven and leases they sign. Finally, I have a draft application, project number 2023-016, and this is for the Arts Center. And that one starts on page 147. So the idea is the city wants an art center somewhere on Campbell Avenue. We have $500,000 to help make that happen, and the state has $1.5 million to help make that happen. So we will be talking about that as these applications come in. And if we approve this application, this will be advertised fairly soon. Do you want to approve it tonight, or do you want to send me an email? How do you want to do it?
Approve it tonight?
Yeah, I mean, as long as, I think you have already worked on the language in the application, correct?
So if we're going to do that, let's go back to the mental health, and let's get a motion to approve the draft mental health application on page 133. Do you have a motion? You guys want to spend 5 minutes to just look at it?
Yes, please.
Oh, let's do that. You spend a few minutes to look at it, and I'll ask for a motion in 5 minutes.
Will this work? Would this be a situation where individual who is in need of mental health, they would get seen for free?
So the way it works is, my understanding is there are organizations in West Haven, or serving West Haven, I should say, that are providing free mental health based on grants that they get from state and other sources.
So this is currently happening?
Correct.
Okay.
We would supplement those funds with $100,000 based on this committee's recommendation as to who's gonna use them the best for the residents, who best uses the funds.
No cost to the individual, no cost to the,
I don't know the program that well. I assume that most of this is cost-free. Are there costs for medications and things? Probably. What I'm suggesting is that there is a need for mental health services, and there are organizations that are successfully providing those services now. This $100,000 was given to us by the council to award to those organizations that will apply, that are already doing this type of work. So we're not gonna fund a startup. We're not gonna fund somebody who, doesn't perform the service now.
I understand all of that. I guess my question is, they are currently providing the service, but are they providing the service at a cost to the individual or not?
I suspect, well, you'd have to ask the people who apply, and you'll have that chance to do that, because they'll come before you. I suspect they're not paying, but I also suspect there are some fees involved, such as medications and other things.
And it does read that they would be reimbursed on a reimbursement basis.
Correct.
So they would have to do the work, then be reimbursed.
Yeah, we're not giving anybody a
So
check.
it's not gonna be just like they're on a retainer and they're just gonna be available.
Correct.
Which I think is good.
And the second one is the arts application. We ready for a motion on these?
I think so.
Rohan, you ready?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the draft contract as written starting on page 133 through 143, for the mental health, needs?
Ken, I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
And we will get to interview the
Same thing. Same
people that
process.
come
Yeah.
back, so great, thanks.
Any discussion? Anybody else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have the draft application for the arts on page 144 through 154. Do I have a motion to accept it as written?
I made a motion to accept as written.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
With this, again, if there's a possibility of having $2 million available for this program, I know on the questionnaire, it talks about having the property acquired, constructed, renovated, and then it asks, would it be leased? I think it would be a good idea to try to get something with a title for this program, just because once this money runs out in 2026, I think it would be positive to make sure that it's
There's equity in
sustainable.
there's equity in the
And it's
building, yeah.
sustainable to move
Yeah.
forward.
So listen, I mean, my feeling is, on the arts, you'll have groups that come in here who are gonna say, help me open up an arts studio. And then you're gonna have groups that are gonna come in and say, listen, we're doing this in 6 other towns, we're bringing $1 million to the table, give us your $2 million, we'll give you an arts center. I think that's what you're looking at here, but we don't know until we advertise it. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, is there any proposed new business from anyone on the committee? If there being no new business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Do you have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Have a great night, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.